We got a lot to get to today. Fans absolutely losing their minds. And that's where we're going to start today because last night in the association, I'm upset about this.
Okay.
Because I've been listening to people talk about it now for the past couple hours. I don't think anyone has gotten to the point where I'm at with it, where there's been some like soft talk around it, and you've been beating around the bush a little bit, being like, "Oh, well, you can't do that. You can't have that." And hopefully they prosecute this guy. For those of you who didn't watch the Hawks-Knicks game last night, number one, the Knicks even up the series 101-92. The Hawks absolutely couldn't hit water if they were standing knee deep in the ocean last night. It was bad. I think 23% from three-point range. Trae Young had another 30-point game, but besides that, had hardly any help on the offensive side of the ball. But that has not become the storyline. What I've been hearing as the storyline all day is how great Madison Square Garden was last night, how amazing the fan support was, and how great it was to see it back to the way it used to be. And used to be, I guess, has a couple of meanings now. Obviously, Cody, first time we've seen it full since the beginning of the pandemic. Also, first time we've seen them play a home playoff game in quite some time. So it's kind of a double meaning when people say back to the way it was. But all I've heard all day is how great Madison Square Garden was. The Knicks put out a Twitter post with a video highlight from last night where they're saying Madison Square Garden, unlike any other. Well, I mean, it is unlike any other because Madison Square Garden, you got people spitting on players.
Hey, Knicks fans, you want this smoke? That's what's going on, man. You're starting a war, man.
Yeah, there's a reason they only let you into the playoffs, as Mike Golo Jr. said, once every decade, and this is probably it.
And you got KD tweeting, saying, then that's how you get lifetime ban.
No, here's what makes me mad, and I want to pull it up because I want the exact quote from the New York Knicks after they admitted a guy spit on Trae Young. And I want to like fully break down the full scope of this because the Knicks were playing dirty last night. They outplayed the Hawks. I'll say that. They absolutely outplayed the Hawks last night, but they were playing dirty last night. I want to read the Knicks statement. They say, we investigated the matter and determined that this patron, who is not a season ticket holder, did indeed spit on Trae Young, and for that reason, he is now banned from the Garden indefinitely.
It should be for life, and it's not. That's
indefinitely?
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Indefinitely. Yes. You begin that statement by saying, we investigated the matter and determined that this patron did indeed spit on Trae Young.
It's one thing or another with the freaking Madison Square Garden. How many times have they gotten in trouble in the past, a year and a half with big names and stuff like that? You know what I mean?
I'm not even worried about that.
I'm just saying,
I'm not worried about anything other than last night.
Overall.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a clean slate leading up to last night.
Yeah.
You had a fan spit on a player.
Oh, yeah, no. It just feeds to the fire where this is a crap hole of a spot to go to. I don't care. I'll say it.
I don't think that. I think it's probably one of the most unique and well-respected institutions as an arena in sports in the world.
Well, as in be cool and that like a lot of cool stuff happened there, but the way they've been treating individuals and everything like that in the past year is horrible. I'm not worried
about anything other than last night.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if people who had been there before who had even been to Madison Square Garden before. Madison Square Garden is just a stadium.
Yes.
It's an arena. It's concrete and steel.
Yep.
It's some of the people who go in there that are the problem.
Yes.
And the problem is you spit like as a grown human being sitting in probably $2,000 seats, sitting directly behind 50 Cent, decided that your best course of action as a New York Knicks fan was to spit on a player, pull down your mask during a pandemic and spit on another human being. Now, there's a few different thoughts I want to get to here. Number one, and we just talked about it, he has now been banned from the Garden indefinitely. This is where I start to get upset with the Knicks.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
I mean, James Dolan, if you criticize him and you're Charles Oakley, you get physically manhandled out of the games.
Yes.
Right? If you criticize, you make fun of James Dolan's band, the owner of the Knicks, you make fun of his band, you're banned from Madison Square Garden for life. But if you spit on another player, it's indefinite. And we're gonna pass it along to the proper authorities and let them handle the matter. Number one, dude, what the hell were you thinking? Did you really think you were going to get away from this? It's Madison Square Garden, ESPN, TNT, every media outlet that covers basketball, and not even basketball, that just cover events in New York, have been waiting for this opportunity. It's full capacity, and you don't think there's cameras on 50 Cent who's sitting directly in front of you? You think you're going to get away from this?
Our press charges.
Oh, I absolutely. I absolutely think this dude's gonna. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard, right? Because everybody pays for everything with
At all, yeah.
and it shouldn't be too hard because they have a huge like picture of the dude's face already out there. So I mean, this is not going to be hard to figure out. He's wearing a pretty, I guess, unique uniform to the game, so it's not going to be hard to recognize this dude. But I mean,
anybody at the Hawks game, blow that up, put it as a sign, put it up.
Well,
there.
I mean, the Knicks are also like they allowed fans to pass out pamphlets that said, hey, don't do F Trae Young chants tonight. Let's do a Trae Young is balding chants, which I don't even know if it's true. Like, I mean, I look at Trae Young's hair. He's got some weird hair. I mean, I think we could put that out there. But I mean, let's pass out pamphlets, and our chant tonight is going to be to make fun of how someone looks.
Yep.
I mean, that's where we're at, Knicks fans.
Yep.
I mean, there's a reason people loathe your teams.
Yeah.
They loathe the Knicks. They loathe the New York Mets. And it's not because of the players on those teams. A lot of times it's because of the fan support that goes around those teams. And so that statement from the Knicks and how just shallow it is, like we have to put out a statement about it, that kind of ticked me off. But then same night in the 76ers Wizards game, you have Russell Westbrook getting popcorn poured on his head from a fan. I mean,
this is how you ruin it.
But what do you do as a professional sports team? Because I mean, this is a precinct by precinct basis, right? This is when it comes to like law enforcement of it, like what do you do as a professional sports team to try to quell this? Because obviously fans, I mean, we saw this even during the pandemic at State Farm Arena. I mean, State Farm, you're not immune to this. You had people sitting courtside screaming at LeBron James.
Yep. Like
trying to fight him, saying like, you don't talk to my husband like that. I mean, to LeBron's credit, he just kind of walked away. But what do you do? I mean, I think to the point where you have someone spitting on someone, you do that to me in the street.
Oh yeah, you get hands thrown, son.
It's on.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
Russell Westbrook said the same thing. Here, hold on. Russell Westbrook said, I want the exact quote here. Sorry, here we go. Yeah, I know in any other setting, I know for a fact a fan wouldn't come up to me on the street, dump popcorn on my head because he knows what would happen. What's going to happen is Russell Westbrook's going to drag you up and down the block.
Yeah, you chose violence.
Like, no problem.
Yeah.
But you feel safe because they're on the arena floor and you're up in the stands, and so you can just dump stuff on it.
Yep.
I mean,
you're asking what can be stopped?
I mean, what can you do as a league, as an arena, as a team to stop this? Because, I mean, I think one thing would, I guess, be like charges.
Yes, that's the first thing. 110%.
Like battery charges to everyone.
Like, hey, man, this is going to be a very expensive mistake. Not only that, but just indefinite bullcrap. Ban them for life.
Well, like, what are you doing?
If you're going to literally put your body fluids on one of our athletes in a, like, not an accidental, but a disrespectful, very disrespectful way, dude, you're out for the rest of your life. You're no longer to come, not to a Knicks game, but an NBA game at all.
And I really don't know how you enforce that, because like you just have to have like a friend buy you a ticket and you're right back in there. But I mean, like, if you're Trae Young last night and someone spits on you, I mean, I might be internalizing and bringing out my inner Ron Artest and Steven Jackson and going into the crowd, because if you spit on me,
oh yeah, no, dude, and no one would blame you. And I would have been like, dude, he should have handled it like that, dude. How would you would have handled it? Like, how would you would have handled it? Like, I'm gonna get my hands on this guy. Like,
I'm not using my shooting hand. I'm not using my shooting hand. I promise. But I mean, with the Russell Westbrook stuff, a lot of people are like, man, it's just popcorn. It's just popcorn. It's like, no, man,
dude, I don't want to get popcorn thrown on me.
You are.
It's a respect about it.
It's exact. You're disrespecting me by pouring food on me.
Like, I'm a human, man. Like, I understand I make a lot of money and I'm on TV a lot. You know, you may treat me different as almost like a TV character, but I'm not. I'm a human being. I'm a human being, dude. Like, I don't want to get popped. Hey, man, you're a clown. Here you go, dance for me, clown.
Like, you shouldn't be pouring food on anything.
yeah.
In your mouth or in a trash can.
Yeah.
I mean, you pour food on my dog, it's on.
Yeah.
Like, it's on.
Yep.
Straight up. You come by my house and you pour food in my yard, it's on.
Mhm.
Like you're disrespecting me.
Yep.
Like you cannot do that. And so that's where I'm at with that right now. I mean, it's unbelievable what we saw last night. New York Knicks still posting stuff about how great the experience was at Madison Square Garden. I thought that was interesting. And then just the national shows, and not just from one particular network, but all the networks. Trae Young got spit on, and the New York Knicks have issued an apology and banned that guy for life. But let's go back to how amazing the atmosphere was in Madison Square Garden. I'm not here for it, but we do have a lot to get to today. We'll come back to that. Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas coming up on 3 and Out a little bit later. Dan Murphy from ESPN.com going to join us. The College Athletes' Right to Organize bill was co-authored by Senators Chris Murphy from Connecticut and Bernie Sanders from Vermont, and presents a direct challenge to the NCAA's really their premise of what amateurism means. And so we'll talk to Dan Murphy about what this new bill could mean if it gets passed through Congress, again, introduced today. So Dan Murphy from ESPN.com. Also coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Chrissy Floyd, from USA Today, talk about LSU. They got a heck of a duo in the secondary there with Derek Stingley and Eli Ricks. What does the rest of that defense look like? What does a quarterback battle look like at LSU? We'll dive into that with Chrissy Freud from USA Today a little bit later as well. But I mean, Cody, just quickly going back before we go back to break there, man. I mean, is there anything that you can do that isn't already being done? So say you're in PR for the Knicks right now. What else can you do?
Suspend him, not indefinitely. Suspend him for life. I also put out an apology. Hey, this is not how our fans act. It's not way we want our fans to act and like that. And we are sorry that they do not represent the Knicks fan base. But they didn't. They don't care. They thought it was funny. They think it's awesome to hand out pamphlets, spit on people, act like a bunch of savages. All right, man, cool. The people who own that team all the way down to people who root for that team. I don't like.
Here's all you need to know about where the Knicks are as a team right now. After the game, like, again, this is a first round playoff game and you're 1-1 in the series, right? Yep. Flooding the streets outside Madison Square Garden, like shutting down traffic, like 300, 400 deep in the street because they won a first round playoff game and they're celebrating like they won the NBA Finals. That's all you need to know about where the Knicks are. We got Game 3 coming up back in State Farm on Friday. Trae Young looking at the Knicks and saying, hey, you spit on me, I'll see you in the A.
Oh, he was yakking at the mouth at the end of that too. He was like, all right.
We'll see you in the A. Trae Young becomes the first Hawks player since 1989, Dominique Wilkins, to have 30 points in back-to-back playoff games. So Trae Young looking to make it 3 games in a row coming up on Friday. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back with more right here on Second Down. All right, calming down a little bit.
No, Don don't want to calm down.
Now I'm calming down a little bit because again, you got Game 3 coming up tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow night. Excuse me. Hawks, Knicks. Hawks are back home.
Bunch of punks.
It's tough, and I know so many Knicks fans, and just know right now that drops you down a couple of notches in my book.
Dude,
If you're a Knicks fan right now,
you're
Listen,
Raiders fans. Ugh.
I mean, you're a Broncos fan, so
Yeah,
I don't have the
Ugh.
animosity for the Raiders fans that you do. But I mean, Knicks. I mean, Trae Young. No one has lived this rent free inside of New York fans since Chipper Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about the level we're getting Trae Young at. Where I mean, you took time out of your life to type up a pamphlet with a chant.
Wonder how much that
you
cost.
should do. Well, no, it's not even a matter of money.
I'm not saying.
But like literally, you took hours out of your life.
Yep.
To type up a pamphlet that says Trae Young is balding, and then type out a paragraph, and then you printed out enough copies to hand out at Madison Square Garden. Like that's a thing you did with your life.
Stay classy.
Like we're born onto this earth, Cody, and as soon as we're born, a clock starts. You got a finite amount of time. Sorry to go this deep with you.
I know you're
on
like
a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, you're
but,
like, man.
But I mean, but for real, like this is the thing that like blows my mind a lot is you have a finite amount of time, and you took even 1 second of it to print out a pamphlet for a guy who will never think about you ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something you did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if that makes you feel good as a fan,
Wearing his own shoes, he's definitely worried about some guy with a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Man.
As he's
his new shoes looking good.
He's cashing checks in the NBA and scoring over 60 points on your team in 2 games. I'm sure
Hey,
it's really bothering him.
Hey, did you see his new shoes?
I could care less about shoes.
Really?
Yeah, you and Cam can hold that one down.
Dude, well,
Bro,
I'm not wearing shoes right now. I'm barefoot.
I'm old. I wear like the same shoes for like 4 years. I buy like one pair of leather Sperry's, and those things rock.
So this is what we do in the studio. So we get up. We get up.
We live like this.
We get up on the chairs, and we always wear like not regular shoes. So I wear flip flops.
You wear the thong flip flops too,
And
which I can't get behind.
Yes, and with the beer bottle openers on the bottom, just in case.
So wait, something that has been on the ground
Yes.
multiple times.
Yeah.
You're opening your beer, like probably stepped in dog poop.
No, I make sure I don't accidentally not know I stepped in dog poop.
Yeah, but what happens if you step in dog poop?
You wash it off. You spray it down, pressure washer type of thing.
Rub it on the concrete and in the grass. And
Dude, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
So things that like
I hope when you get kids, you're not like, don't get in that dirt. You'll get dirt.
No, I'm not
all right.
I'm not going to be like that at all. But what I'm like is I'm never opening anything with my shoe that I'm going to put in my mouth.
Okay, well, let's go back to it. You wear moccasins all the time.
They're Sperry's. They're boat shoes.
Same thing. They're the exact same
They're
thing.
not the same thing.
Okay, and so we just get up on our little chair, and we'll slip them off. They stay right down below us, and then when we get up, we slip back on and walk off.
Why are you telling people we live like this, man?
We like, dude, we're a very free-souled, we're free souls here, man. Free souls, like traveling band of gypsies.
Wow. All right. Well, here we are. Cam Ursary.
He's so ashamed. He didn't want to say
I just don't know how we got there from talking about how like terrible Knicks fans were.
We're talking about Trae's shoes. Hey, did you like freaking Trae's shoes?
They were all right. They're all right.
Right, never mind. I'm done talking about
like
this.
I'm about to say,
like
I'm talking about Knicks fans spending hours of their lives printing out pamphlets. The fact that you spend even a millisecond of your life thinking about Trae Young shoes is something I'm worried about.
We're both different,
Cam.
dude.
But Cam, we were discussing Trae Young. And we were discussing the fact that everyone saw it last night, like it was making the rounds on social media. But the NBA and the Knicks have finally confirmed it that a fan did spit on Trae Young. What was your takeaway from that video? I mean, you also had Nerlens Noel tripping Trae Young on his way back up the court as well. Just not a good look from the Knicks last night.
Yeah, that's disgusting. It's middle of a pandemic still, and you're spitting on people. So they should get arrested. That's one thing. Should definitely get arrested. And two, you can see in the video, I don't even think Trae Young noticed in the video. Because, I mean, he's sweating. He's out there worried about the game. But I think that was 50 Cent beside him. You can see him looking back. Yeah, you can see him looking back like, are you kidding me? That's – I mean, it's different to, yell at him and say F Trae Young. That's okay. That's getting mad at him, whatever. But spitting on the guy, that's disgusting. Just like Westbrook got popcorn thrown on him last night.
I think one's worse than the other, but they're just dehumanizing. Both acts are. I mean, you're pouring food like you're some Roman emperor from your box at the Coliseum, just like dumping food on peasants. Like it's
Like,
just,
what is going on?
It's
dude?
disgusting, man. And I love what Russell Westbrook said is he knows for a fact dude wouldn't do that in public because he knows what's going to happen.
Imagine if they let Westbrook go and just let him go fight the dude. Yeah,
he would to hold him back.
Exactly. So if they would have let them go one-on-one, you just gotta look at it like, why would you do that? Because if, like Westbrook said, if that was out in public, dude probably wouldn't even say nothing to him.
And how about the fact that the dude who spit on Trae Young was sitting behind 50 Cent's date? I don't know. I don't think 50's engaged. I'm just going to assume date. Again, 50 Cent, who has a line in a song that says, I'm paraphrasing, people put money on my head, will ask for a refund because I'm not dead. Like, you are going to then spit over his date onto a player directly in front of him. I mean, that's a bold move.
Yeah, it had to be bold. What if it hit his date?
A better term.
Yeah, what if it hit his date? Like, that's a bold
he
move.
did. I think he did, because if you look in the video, she reacts and like looks at her shoulder.
My boy been shot 9 times, dude. I ain't even trying to do nothing in that dude's direction. Like, no, sir.
I'm not. That's ridiculous. I don't know. The NBA, I mean, yeah, they banned him, but he needs to be arrested for that. That's just disgusting.
Well, again, the Knicks have said he has been banned indefinitely, which that should just go ahead and flip that to lifetime. That's one of those ones where, as a PR department, you need to go ahead and pass that through a couple of eyeballs, so one person can be like, "Are you sure you want to go with indefinitely here? Maybe we want to go with lifetime." But once again, we've talked about this before on the show. Every company, every professional athlete, every person of significance needs that one person in their employee that can say, "You sure you want to send that out?" Or you're 1,000% sure you want to send that out. All right, that's completely on you. But we have game 2 coming up, or game 3, coming up tomorrow night. The Braves drop a weird one in Boston. Really a rough outing for Drew Smyly. It was a good outing until the 6th inning. Going back through that order for the 3rd time, the Red Sox really started to hit him in that 6th inning, pick up a big lead, and then you have a rain delay. Red Sox add even more to it after the rain delay. So you finish that one up a little after midnight, Cody. And so the Braves just can't get over that 500 hump there. They're 24-25 now on the season. Night off tonight for the Braves. And then they have a really important 3-game series coming up with the New York Mets. I hope against hope that Friday night you see the Braves just beat the hell out of the Mets, and you see the Hawks just lay it on the Knicks in game 3. I mean, Cam, it was a relatively close game, and the Hawks could not hit anything, period, in the second half. And what was the thought process with Nate McMillan when the Knicks started to balloon that lead a little bit and he left Trae Young on the sideline?
I have no clue what he was doing. They got outscored, I think, 55-35 in the second half. Yeah, outscored by 20. I don't know what he was doing. Trae Young was playing sensational last night. He played good. So was Derrick Rose, though. You have to give him credit. But I don't know. Once they cut that lead to 6, which was a 15-point lead, you got to put him back in. And he just let it go down until they was down 2. And it was kind of too late. They had a lot of momentum.
In the 4th, he led the lead for the Knicks balloon to 10 before he called that timeout and put Trae Young back in. And then as soon as Trae Young comes back in, he immediately gets it back down, I think, to a 1-score game. So, I mean, just did not inherently understand that thought process. Another guy I do want to talk about, though, Cam, how big has Clint Capella been? Because I think he has been a monster on the inside for the Hawks in this series.
Oh, yeah, he's been a monster, but it's another big man that needs to show up. He had a goose egg last night. John Collins.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be the second best player. 17-8 a night, 0 points. That's the reason why they lost. You give us 10 points, you win by 1 point. But Clint Capella has been huge, grabbing boards, energy, what we expect from a veteran.
Yeah, John Collins in early foul trouble last night, playing with 5 fouls for a long portion.
He said John Collins' name, and both of our faces were like, yep.
That was a significant problem. But to some lighter stuff, we are 100 days away from the kickoff of the SEC and really of a lot of big games around college football. 100 days away from September 4th. We'll come back, talk about what that slate looks like on the opening Saturday of college football. We'll do all that next right here on Second Down. Welcome back into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside Cody Queen and Cam Ursery. We are, of course, presented to you by the Uniform Source. 2 different locations in Savannah to take care of all of your uniform needs. You know,
The homies.
you got kids in school. Well, I mean, I hope you don't have kids in school right now because maybe that means some summer school. But if you do, we've all been there
They're all that.
at least once.
I have not. No,
What? You never went
No.
to summer school, Cody?
I've never went to summer
Must
school.
have been a bad kid.
Who, me?
Me.
I was a bad kid, but when it came to like grades and stuff like that, I was fine.
No, I was always in some sort of like camp school, just some sort of thing during the summer. Didn't like it. Science fair, it was weird.
My mom was like, roam the streets.
Yeah, science
of the
camp.
project, so I'm like, okay.
roam the streets, Cody.
Yep.
Do with what you will.
We're like little packs of kids everywhere, you know.
That was the business.
It's like
man.
back in the day, like, man, where are we going today? Bunch of bikes over at Chris's house. Going to Chris's house,
Oh, we were real
playing the
country.
N64, blow on the cartridge. Let's go, baby.
Oh, we were real like country. Like it was like the Georgia power lines behind the neighborhood.
Okay,
There's
yeah.
bike racing back there.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, there's a lot of creeks back there. So some
Oh,
creek
yeah.
swimming. Maybe like
Man.
some fish down there doing some fishing. Summers were a good time.
Hey,
So hopefully you don't need any uniforms during the summer.
to be young again.
Hopefully you don't need any uniforms during
Hey,
the
but
summer.
nurses and all that stuff, man,
But
go
I'm
out
gonna
there and
say,
get your stuff
nurses,
done.
doctors, anyone who out there who needs
A
uniform.
military, now that you can get your stuff sewn on instead of Velcro, I got that at the end of my career. Dude, I'm telling you guys right now, do that, save time. It looks amazing, especially when you got your badges and everything like that. Just get them sewn on. Dude, fresh, clean. You get yourself promoted. Do
There
it.
you go. Go see our friends over at the Uniform Source. But again, guys, just 100 days away from September 4th. Why is that significant? Well, that's the first Saturday of college football as we have Alabama, Miami, Penn State at Wisconsin, Louisiana at Texas, I think is a sleeper of a game right there, and Georgia, Clemson in the Dukes Mayo Classic, just 100 days away. Let the countdown begin. I mean, Cam, opening day in baseball, I think is the one that like reigns supreme, where it's just like everything stops. Everyone knows, like, listen, this is baseball's day. We don't mess with it, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday. You just don't mess with Super Bowl Sunday. But I mean, that opening week that's really become of college football, where you kind of have like Thursday, Friday, and then you have the full smorgasbord on Saturday. Then I think Florida State's playing on Sunday. You got a game on Monday. That's just a special time, man.
Yeah, see, everybody knows I'm an NBA guy, but college football is my favorite sport to watch because the fans, the atmosphere. Yeah, I'm excited. I know everybody is going to pick Georgia and Clemson to be their game. Mine is Louisville and Ole Miss. I just want to see what this Ole Miss team is really about. I really do. I think they're going to be like really, really good, great fun offense. And then I want to see if Notre Dame can bounce back from losing a lot of guys and see what Florida State looks like. But I'm excited personally.
Cam, you don't have to hit the hipster take and not say Georgia Clemson is the game you're most excited for. I mean, I get it. Louisville Ole Miss is going to be fun. Matt Corral slinging the rock around, the Lane Kiffin offense. It's going to be fun.
Is it?
It's going to be a fun game.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be fun.
But that being said, Cam, you don't have to have the hipster take where you're saying you're more excited about that game than Clemson, Georgia. I'm going to give you a chance to recant. If you're truly more excited about that game, it's fine. But I'll give you a chance to recant here.
Yeah, I mean, I had to tell a little fib. I'm excited about that game. It's the game of all games this year. It's going to be the best game in the regular season, in my opinion. So, I'm excited. But outside of that game, those are my 2 top games right there. I think it's going to be a great opening week. I cannot wait. Playoff implications already week 1.
I think the UGA Clemson game, yes, I'm going to be generic. I think that's going to be a great game. I think UGA might pull it off. I think they have a chance, but
Hold
of course,
on, you think Georgia might win?
yeah,
That's a
but
bold take right there.
but obviously it's Clemson. So if they do win by 24 points, I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, it was Clemson.
So, I mean, what is this
You know?
take, though?
I'm just saying.
The take you're giving us is I think Georgia might win, but also Clemson could blow them out.
Yeah, that's a great take. I'm covering all my bases.
Georgia should be getting blown out.
No,
at this
I think
point.
Georgia will win by a great, like last minute touchdown, not a field goal.
Okay,
though.
see, that's
I
a
think
take.
they'll win by.
That's a take. 100 days out. Cody's saying Georgia's going to win.
Is there a line on there yet?
I think Clemson has been favored anywhere from 3 to 4.5 points.
Oh yeah, Vegas.
Okay.
You're good. Okay.
So really
Okay.
good.
Yeah, really good. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to go with the over. I mean, Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Georgia on that one outright.
Georgia's gonna win the game outright.
Georgia's gonna win.
All
that
right,
game
100,
outright.
100 days out, Cody finally with the
Clip it.
Yeah, Cody finally with the take instead of Georgia might win, they might not. Here we
I
are.
wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, that was
if freaking Clemson
equivalent
just blew
of
'em
Kyle
out.
Shanahan before the draft being like, I don't even know if we're all going to be here on draft day. So here we go.
Hey,
Like,
my
here we
man, he's preaching the truth. Was he wrong?
I mean, you can't be wrong when you say that.
I know. That's exactly what I was going for. The perfect
So
take.
when you say Georgia might win, you can't be wrong.
That's a
That's
great
not
take.
a take.
It's a great take. Hey,
It's literally
young
not a
gun
take.
Cam, learn from me, dude. Hey,
Cam, please.
perfect take. Perfect
Don't
take.
let any of this absorb into your body because Cody does this all the time, especially when he makes like a big, bold prediction and then it blows up in his face. He says, that wasn't my real prediction. That was my fun
It
prediction.
was my fun prediction, dude. Like, you gotta have two predictions, right?
No, you just have
You
to do it.
gotta lose some.
Say one thing one week and completely say something different the next week.
Okay, makes sense.
Like, with the
don't teach him
with
that.
with the Knicks and the Hawks is what everybody does. Is before the series, it would be a tight series, but the Knicks are a better team, and then the Hawks won game one, and all of a sudden the narrative became, well, the Hawks are clearly the better team, but the Knicks
Clearly.
are more well coached, and they're just going to fight harder, and so it's the Knicks are the underdogs, but they got to pull it out in front of the Madison Square Garden Game 7, right? Like the narrative's completely changed. So, I mean, if you're wrong one week, you can be completely right the next week. It's fine. Just change what you said.
Or just go a little bit of a gray area of a take.
No,
in
that's
the
not
first
a
place.
take. Gray
That's
areas
just what
aren't
you gotta
takes.
do. You gotta cover all your bases, dude.
Gray areas aren't takes. With that being said, huge September 4th coming up. Finally, they got the scheduling right because I was so worried they were going to do Alabama, Miami at the same time.
Yeah.
Georgia, Clemson, like do one on ESPN and one on ABC. But nope, Georgia, Clemson at 7:30 is the primetime nightcap. Kirk
Love it.
Herbstreit and those guys will be on the call. Alabama, Miami, 3:30. It's going to be a great one. But another one I think you need to watch out for is Louisiana at Texas, because Louisiana is a really good Sun Belt team. They have their quarterback back. They have a lot of defenders back, a lot of offensive linemen back. They did lose a couple of running backs to the NFL, but still, they have a ton of talent. And Steve Sarkisian taking over at Texas. That's an interesting first game. I'm sure he would rather be playing somebody else. I mean, Sun Belt had a heck of a year last year. Actually started with Louisiana beating the hell out of Iowa State at the beginning of the season, right? I think beat them by 3 scores, and Iowa State ended up being a top 6, top 5 team at the end of the year.
Yeah, about like top 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Louisiana's got a really good football team. That's going to be a challenge for Texas right off the bat. And they really don't have an easy opening slate because they have to play Arkansas in Arkansas pretty early in that as well. And I think Arkansas is going to be much improved next year as well. So not an easy start for Steve Sarkisian. And some quotes coming out. I love the rivalries, and I'm glad we have the out-of-conference ones back, but some of the in-conference ones are great. Bob Stoops was talking about Steve Sarkisian taking over at Texas and saying, he shouldn't be down for long because it's Texas, right? Saying, this is what I love, Cam, because when you're talking about your program, it's the best program in the world, but then when you're talking about yourself, you got to talk about how hard it was to build that program, right? So Bob Stoops talking about Steve Sarkisian taking over at Texas, saying, like, look, listen, his job is going to be easier than what my job was when I took over at Oklahoma. So that just kind of got me thinking, what are the best jobs in college football? Because I think Texas has to be right up there. And I'll hear arguments for Texas A&M because Texas A&M does play in the SEC. They get a little bit bigger check, at least from the conference, than Texas does. But I think Texas is right up there. But if I had to say which job is the best, period, end of story, I think it's probably Georgia. Now let me explain why.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not saying Georgia's the best recruiting state, even though per capita they put more players in the NFL
Yeah, man, no,
than
they
any
don't.
other
I'm just
state in
saying.
the country. But here's what Georgia has that, and this could change if Georgia Tech can start picking it up a little bit. What Georgia doesn't have is what gives the coach, I think, an advantage. And what Georgia doesn't have is they don't have an Auburn in their state, right? They don't have, if you're talking about Florida as being the best job, you don't have Florida State, Miami, UCF in your state. And so if you're the name school in your state, you should have first dibs on every recruit that comes out of your state. That's why Georgia fans for the longest time have said, I get that recruiting nationally is a big deal because you go get guys like DeAndre Swift and Darnell Washington and JT Daniels, but it's like, if you just shut down the border, I mean, look at the quarterbacks that have come out of the state of Georgia, right? Trevor Lawrence, #1 overall pick in the past draft. Deshaun Watson was a first-round pick, right? Great quarterbacks come out of the state. Justin Fields was a first-round pick this past draft. You could just shut down the state. You would have a great chance of being in the college football playoff every single year, right? A roster that most teams in the country would envy. And what you don't have, like Alabama has, is you don't have Auburn, who is in your division and perennially a top 10, top 15 team, right? You go out to Texas. It's not just Texas. It's Texas A&M, right? It's Baylor. It's Texas Tech. All kinds of schools out there that are going to be always recruiting against you. Same with California, right? You go out there, it's Stanford, it's USC, it's UCLA. So I think Georgia's probably, if you just look at infrastructure, what conference you're in, how much money's coming in, your recruiting base, and really just I know Alabama's and Florida's and Auburn's come in and take a bunch of players from Georgia, but just the inherent advantage you have of Georgia Tech kind of being down in recruiting for a while now, and you don't have that other team recruiting against you, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's a good take. I didn't even think of it like that. If you go to Michigan, they got Michigan State. Anywhere you go, they got a competitor except Georgia. Not saying Georgia Tech is
Maybe
wasn't a good. Yeah, Ohio State. Yeah, okay. That's another one you could pair with Georgia because they don't have any.
I know
competition up there.
Cincinnati's out there getting some boys.
But yeah,
Cincinnati is, but they're not on Ohio State's level. I wouldn't say that, but yeah, you're right. I actually like that take. I never thought of it that way. Georgia Tech's been down for a while. It's been a good minute. So yeah, it is a nice recruiting spot. And plus, you have something to play for. Georgia hasn't won a national championship since what, 84? So you have something
80.
to play for.
80.
Oh, 80.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It's been that long. So you have something to play for, have to play Bama pretty much every year in Florida. So yeah, it is a nice.
I think why it's not the best job though, Cam, because when you are the head coach at Georgia, you do have to deal with that expectation where it's like, listen, we haven't won a championship since 1980, 41 years, right? We need it. We need one. And that's the expectation you're dealing with. I mean, that's why you see a lot of times when a president goes into office, they just look like a completely different person 8 years later. I love my man Kirby, but he ain't the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed dude that came out of Alabama anymore. I mean, it takes a lot to be a head coach at these institutions, but it's like Alabama, #1, I don't think that's the best. So that's why it's been so impressive with what Nick Saban has done is I think it's certainly top 10.
Yeah.
But you need the right coach in there because you have to recruit outside of your state and you have to constantly recruit in-state against Auburn.
Yep.
Right? So, I mean, it's Texas, I think, is definitely up there. I'll put Texas up there because they have their own TV deal.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have all kinds of money. And it's the University of Texas.
And you live in Austin.
Well, it's the University of Texas. Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's the University of Texas. Like you're going to have, #1, you don't have the murderer's row you have when you're trying to come out of the SEC.
Yeah.
So that's that #1. But outside of that, all the infrastructure, the legacy, it's UT. Like I think that's a phenomenal job.
Best coaching.
Another one, I'd say Notre Dame. I think that's a pretty phenomenal.
These are all
job.
too high for me, dude. I'm like not. Mine's FAU. Willie Taggart's got it made down there.
It's true. You're just hanging out.
Dude,
That's
Boca
Boca,
Raton,
yeah.
getting paid bank, getting some 3 stars left over or whatever, winning some games, not expected to win a national championship, hanging out.
I do like that. I like that when we're talking about like the backup quarterback job.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Willie Taggart,
Yeah.
dude. Live it up in Boca, man. Beautiful. That's where I want to
I was
go.
about to say like San Diego State wouldn't be too bad.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Oh, yeah. Like, don't put me in these big
Hawaii?
colleges. Like, you didn't win a national championship this year? Like, dude, I ain't trying to have
Why do
that.
you think June Jones
stress.
went from being the head coach of the Falcons to coaching Hawaii?
Yeah, dude.
That's
Heck yeah. That's another good one.
I don't know. Hawaii might be tough though. 'Cause that's a hell of a headache. On any road game, you are
That's true.
trans-Pacific.
That's true.
You are having to hit the road.
That's true. Or even with Sean Quinn and Savannah State. That's a great head coaching gig out there, dude. Savannah's a beautiful city. You get some great local freaking recruits. Man, dude, that's you're thinking too high.
I think he's starting to turn around. We're talking FBS there. We're talking FBS.
Okay,
like
yeah.
More Power 5.
Okay.
But, I mean, I get where your head's at a little bit, but no, I do think there's some great ones. I mean, I think Dabo has kind of built Clemson into a great job, but I think he has kind of built that himself. And very similar to what's going on with Georgia Tech, South Carolina. It's been. I mean, if you think about it now, it's been 8 years since South Carolina was truly competitive with the Steven Garcias and going to the Jadeveon Clowneys and those guys, right? Melvin Ingram's going to the SEC championship. I mean, you get smoked in the SEC championship, but you still win to the SEC championship, right? So it's been a minute. South Carolina's been down. But we're going to talk about this more coming up on 3 and Out. What are the best jobs in each Power 5 conference? We'll dive into that. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back. Final segment of Second Down next. Ben Troop and Kevin Thomas coming up next on 3 and Out. We'll catch up with Dan Murphy from ESPN.com. The College Athletes' Right to Organize bill has been introduced to Congress. It was co-authored by Senators Chris Murphy from Connecticut and Bernie Sanders of Vermont. And it, quote, presents a direct challenge to the NCAA's foundational premise of amateurism. It asserts that any college athlete who are compensated by their school for their athletic ability, whether through a scholarship or other means, should have the right to organize and collectively bargain. So that's going in to that's going to Congress, baby. Like,
baby.
That's when things start getting real. So we'll talk to Dan Murphy from ESPN.com about that. We'll also catch up with our good friend D. Orlando Ledbetter from the AJC. What have been his latest observations from OTAs? Seeing old Kyle Pitts out there wearing number 8. With Matty Ice, them hooking up on a few connections. What's the running back room looking like? So we'll catch up with D-Led about that and the latest from what he's hearing around the Julio Jones saga. And then a little bit later in the show, Chrissy Freud from USA Today. She covers LSU and the Titans from them. Going to get her perspective on Atlanta Falcons head coach Arthur Smith, what we should expect that offense to look like in year one under Arthur Smith. We'll also hear from her about LSU and some of the biggest storylines as they start to head into summer camp. Could they push Texas A&M and Auburn for that number 2 spot? And maybe, just maybe, Cody, maybe push Alabama. We'll talk to her about that coming up a little bit later as well. But again, no Braves, no Hawks for you tonight, but we'll have full coverage coming up tomorrow night as the Hawks take on the Knicks back in State Farm Arena in Game 3 of that series. Also, we will have Braves and Mets. Man, it's just Atlanta versus New York this weekend for you. Going to be a really fun weekend, but we'll talk to everybody tomorrow. If you miss any portion of the show, check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Talk to you tomorrow.